Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It's PT on Ice Daily Show podcast. This is Fitness Athlete Friday. My name is Joe Anisco. I'm one of the lead faculty of the clinical management, the fitness athlete team. So coming to you live on YouTube and on Instagram this morning. I had to get going a few minutes ahead of time. I got some other obligations coming up, so I wanted to give myself a few extra minutes here. But topic for today is size matters. And depending on how many characters I can put in my title, but nobody cares. Size matters, but nobody cares. You can take this wherever your mind wants to lead you, but this is about the CrossFit athlete. This is about competing in CrossFit or just doing CrossFit as a CrossFit athlete in general. And so we'll get into that, just some reflections basically throughout the last couple of weeks and couple of months with the open season. I thought this would be a useful topic to talk about, a personal one for me as well, too, for sure. So before we get into that, though, team, what I want to do is talk about some of the courses that we have coming up as a fitness athlete crew. In terms of online courses, we're in the middle of, or close to the end, or in the middle of our essentials and our advanced concepts, our level 1 and our level 2 online. But we have, I wrote down beginning of June for our essentials course online is coming back again. So just a few months down the road here. If you haven't gotten to that, you could hop onto our essentials course. And then towards the end of the summer, beginning of fall in September, we're going to be doing the advanced or level 2 online course. So those are our 2 online courses. As far as live courses for clinical management of the fitness athlete, Zach is out in Washington this week, and I know, but coming up in May, both Zach and I are teaching. He is over in Sudbury, I think, Massachusetts, May 20th. And on May 20th, I am over in Rockville, Maryland. So we have those courses coming up in May. Then we have a few coming up in June. I know out in New York on the East Coast. I think we're going to be out in Washington area on the West Coast in June. So a lot coming up this spring, early summer, if you're looking for the fitness athlete live courses as well. And just a little tip to the hat to the Bike Fit crew. I was talking to Matt, and he was looking to get a little bit of push on their courses because they have some coming up, some live courses coming up in May. They have one out in Washington and Bellingham. They have one in Chicago area early May. So if you're looking to get certified in professional bike fitting, look for those endurance fitness athlete courses as well. All that can be found on the ptonice.com. So that's the courses we're looking into. So size matters, but nobody cares. Reflection on the open. This is what we want to talk about, team. We want to go over just our experiences from the open, maybe from quarterfinals. And I kind of want to walk through sort of my personal opinions and thoughts on the matter, and maybe give you guys some strategies depending on the type of athlete you are, from whether you're a big and tall, strong athlete, or you're a smaller, more agile athlete. The conversation comes up regularly. So let's start with reflection. Most of us reflecting on our CrossFit game season just starts and ends in the open, right? Hundreds of thousands of people sign up, and the majority of us, that's where our destination starts and ends. And that's perfectly fine. It's a great measure of our progressive success if we're committing to the sport and to the fitness. So we had 3 workouts this year. Look at the first workout, a big chipper. And kind of in terms of like our top of our conversation here, kind of a plus and minus for every type of athlete. It was big chipper, starting with the rower. We had some wall balls, some toes to bar, got to a barbell. We had pretty high volume cleans that we had to hit. And if you were lucky enough to get through that, it was performing some ring muscle ups. The elite athletes get through those ring muscle ups and repeat and rinse that whole process over again. So, from an athlete size perspective, we're thinking this is a pretty well balanced workout overall, because you got rowing for the taller, bigger athletes, the barbell for the taller, bigger athlete probably, but then obviously some of the gymnastic skills usually favoring some of our smaller athletes. So pretty well balanced there. Second workout was that gasser of a shuttle run burpee pull-up workout, followed by how strong are you in your 1 rep max thruster after blasting your legs and your arms. So again, a good well-balanced workout in my opinion. Obviously, maybe the shuttle runs and the burpee pull-ups are going to start to favor that smaller, more agile, lighter body weight athlete. But clearly, as we'll see, the bigger, stronger athletes will likely put up bigger, heavier weights in that 1 rep max thruster. So pretty well balanced. And then that third workout, a tricky one, a definitely high skilled and high strength workout, but you have the snatches that are coming up and across and increasing weights, but there was a lot of the double unders and the gymnastic stuff in there. So, I'd say double unders is a movement probably doesn't matter typically the size of the athlete for that. Gymnastics, like especially the handstand push-ups and the wall walks, probably favoring more of your smaller athlete. But the heavy barbell, especially as you get to those bigger weights, there's no doubt about that. And so when you look at these workouts from the lens and the view of this point of this podcast, they are pretty well balanced. But yet what I hear, and I actually challenged myself because we're always looking for like a potential, excuse, or we could have done better if I was a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. If I was a little smaller, like those burpee pull-ups would have been a whole lot easier. Or like if I was closer to the floor on those shuttle runs, like that would have made a difference. And all that is true. Size does matter. It absolutely matters in the world of CrossFit, but nobody cares. And this is coming from a small athlete where I've had these excuses, and I realize at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. I am who I am. I'm going to put out the effort, the performance, and the skills that I have. And beyond that, nobody else really cares. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses, and we can point to, big, strong, this workout was favored for this person, favored for that person. But if you actually start to lay out a lot of these workouts, they're pretty well balanced, which sort of ends up really dictating and highlighting why, if you look at the best CrossFit Games athletes in the world, they are the jack of all trades, master of none. And in terms of size, they kind of fit somewhere right in the middle, because it's not the smallest athlete that's always winning. It's definitely not the 6'4", 300 or 265 pound athlete that's winning. It's somebody that's somewhere in the middle who can be light enough, agile enough, small enough for those high skill gymnastics, body weight style movements, but also big enough, strong enough that they can move heavy barbells and compete with people at the upper echelon there. So CrossFit is what it always has been, a jack of all trades, master of none sport. And it basically then highlights from a body size perspective that person that fits somewhere right in the middle is probably the one who's going to stand out as being some of the best in the sport. It's the same reason that the biggest, tallest athletes typically do really well in the basketball world. Like, it just favors their sport. So size matters. Nobody cares. This was a personal one for me. We had a couple different options for today, but I really wanted to chat about this one for sure. So tall versus short, big versus small. I think the most important thing that we can do when we have these type of workouts that show up, if it's not fitting into your wheelhouse as like a size of an athlete, is let's talk about strategy. Like, what do we do when a workout shows up that probably favors somebody else or some different body type, or a certain part of that workout is favoring a bigger or stronger athlete or a smaller, more speedy, agile athlete? How can we go about strategizing? I really wanted to kind of throw some of my personal thoughts. And so it's really not always rocket science, but a lot of it is just remembering that there is a lot of strategy in the sport, in the fitness of CrossFit. So I would say strategy number one, this is gonna challenge us, is just zip your lip and just put the work in. That's not really a strategy, but it's going as number one. We need to remember that the size matters. No one cares. Zip your lip and just put the work in. Like, get after it, guys. That is the premise of why we're here. We are here for something bigger than just the ability to compete. We are here to make ourselves better, to challenge ourselves as an individual, to get stronger, to get fitter. Zip your lip, put the work in, put your head down, and good things will happen. So in the end of the day, it is a strategy, because if you sit there and you dwell on it, or you're creating excuses, or you're asking yourself, why even try? Why even give it a go? You're not getting any better by doing that. Strategy number one, zip your lip and get after it. Strategy number 2, 3, and 4 are going to be a little bit more, hopefully, actual strategies for us. But remember that we all have strengths and weaknesses. So strategy number 2 is maximize your strengths. If you're going into a workout, let's just say for me, we'll take like the second workout of the open. I'm a smaller, pretty agile, good body strength for my size. Shuttle runs, my endurance is pretty solid. Burpee pull-ups are going to be right in my wheelhouse. I'm quick to get on and off the floor. I'm quick to get up and down from that pull-up position, compared to maybe a bigger, stronger athlete like Mitch Babcock, who has more distance to cover, has more body weight to move. Like, if I'm looking at a workout like number 2, knowing at the back end of that workout, I'm probably not going to compete with the biggest, strongest athletes on my ability to put up a heavy, heavy thruster. I should probably put more of my strengths and energies into getting a good score on what I know I can thrive at there. So maximize your strength, strategize it from that standpoint of breaking out the workout and say, where can I get the best bang from my buck? And I'm going to put my energy into that and try to separate myself there, because I know that I'm not going to be able to separate myself somewhere else. Now, that doesn't mean that you go out and you just sell your soul completely on like part A of that workout, because when you get to part B, you want to have something to give, but you also know that if when push comes to shove, if you're going to, climb the charts in one of these areas, that's where I want to put most of my energy and most of my effort at that point there. So strategy number 2, just maximize your strengths. Figure out where you're going to fit into that workout and really hammer down there. Strategy number 3, game plan your weaknesses. So I think that, for me, a good example would be like a wall ball or a rower. As a smaller athlete, if I'm lined up against someone like a Mitch Babcock, a different size human being, different size athlete, and we have wall balls and rower on there, if I try to hang with him, I don't care how fit I am. I don't care if I'm more aerobically fit and have better endurance. If you're talking about two pretty comparative athletes, and size is just drastically different. If I'm trying to hang with someone like Mitch on a rower and wall ball, I'm probably going to drive myself in the ground, and I'm not going to be able to maximize my strengths later on. So often game planning or strategizing your weaknesses comes down to making really educated decisions on when you're going to break or what your paces might be. So on a rower, for me, I've kind of now determined that as I start to get between that 2 minute per 500 and 150 per 500, I can stay there and I can row a good distance. I can recover during that time frame. I won't necessarily blast my heart rate to a point where I couldn't recover from it. But if I go anywhere below that 150, that 145, 146 range, it's more or less a sprint for me. So often these bigger, taller athletes are rowing in those 140 ranges and making it look like what I would be pulling on that 2 minute range. But I know that if it's that 10, 15 second difference of me selling my soul there, that I'm never going to be able to make that 10 or 15 seconds up anyways when I get to my strength. So I kind of cut the difference and just say, I'm going to hang where I can hang, where I know that I can live and survive. So that way, when I get back to that portion of that workout, which maybe it is a pull up or a burpee or something like that, I'm going to be able to maximize my strength and catch back up there. Don't get sucked into a rabbit hole where you don't belong. Don't get pulled in a direction where you can't, don't get pulled down river and you can't swim back up river. We don't want to be stuck somewhere where we can't have an exit strategy. So game plan your weaknesses, chunk things out into smaller sets. Quick, smaller sets can be sometimes just as effective as big, long sets. I've had that experience on wall balls as well too. 25 unbroken or 2 sets. 15 and 10 with literally a 3 or 4 second break just to drop the ball, shake my arms and legs loose and pick it back up. You're talking about 6 seconds maybe of difference, but the way that I feel afterwards is tremendously different and allows me then to accelerate and take advantage of strategy number 2, which was maximize my strengths. So maximize strengths, game plan your weakness, and strategy number 4, which is always a strategy after the open, after the quarterfinals, or just, CrossFit in general, is if you find something you're not good at, get better at it. Put some time into it. I should probably spend more time at the end of a workout or on my free time in my fitness world doing some rowing intervals or hitting big sets of wall balls to gain more capacity or doing ring muscle ups under fatigue, whatever that weakness might be. At the end of the season, when you've learned that, man, I had a really good season. I'm happy. I got my first bar muscle up, or I got my first this or that, or I hit a new PR on my thruster. But I struggled there, I struggled here. Take that and pick 1 or 2 of those things from the prior season and say, I'm going to spend the next couple of months in my free time and my extra time after class or before class working on my weaknesses. If we work on our weaknesses in the off season, they become a strength later. And the less weaknesses we have, the more strengths we have, those workouts become a whole lot easier. You become a jack of all trades, master of none athlete who can compete at a pretty good level. It's sort of a gut check. I found myself to a few of my friends using my size this year as a complaint of why I didn't do as well as I should have done at a certain part of a workout. And at the end of the day, I thought, as I'm talking to this person on the other side of the DM or, conversation or whatever it was, that they probably had the same thought, but in a different direction. That's when it hit me that size absolutely matters in CrossFit. It does matter, but nobody cares. You are who you are. Take advantage of your strengths, maximize those strengths, game plan your weaknesses, and then spend some time working on those weaknesses so that they become strengths, and you're going to be a whole lot better. But number one, remember, just zip your lip and put the work in. Hopefully that was just an enlightening review for you guys. Just a little bit of a personal experience there for sure, but I think we've all had it. Let's see if we can do better next year of just sticking into our lane and putting our head down and going at it where we know we can survive there. So have a good Friday, guys. Fitness Athlete Friday. Hope you have a good weekend. Weather's changing up here in Michigan. Looking forward to some sunshine. Hopefully we'll see you guys either on some of our line courses coming up here this early summer, late summer, and then some of these live courses that we have throughout May and June that are just right around the corner now. So happy weekend. Talk to you guys later.